What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall markets, but just notes that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening in SPY and the market moving forward and look at some bigger time frames. Please note, guys, that when it comes to the way the market's moving, we are looking quite bullish right now. I do anticipate we're going to be breaking all-time highs. Now, I think SPY is going to be testing this 565 resistance right over here, and we'll see if we break that. I think if we do break that, our next target is going to be all the way up to about 568 to 570. And if that breaks, if we manage to get above this resistance right here, I think our next target is going to be all the way up to about 577. Based off the calculations of our trend-based FIP extension, that looks like a very, very important level. So we could be going all the way up there if we end up breaking past not just all-time highs, but I would say 570 would be a big confirmation of us potentially breaking out higher. If we close above 570 2 days in a row, I think that's going to be our target, that 577 area. But we're not going to worry too much about that yet. We first have to take this one step at a time. And that kind of brings me up to my next point. So, looking at the way the market moves, from the way things are developing, I just want to say that we can't always make calculations based off so many different factors into the future. We just have to take it one step at a time. So people oftentimes say that, the months of September and October tend to be not the best for the markets. September not tends to be like so or green only about 40% of the time. And then October's tend to be red the large majority of the time during election years. So what my view of that is, I just came to the realization that, at this point with the way the market moves, predicting really far out could be very difficult. It could be very difficult to kind of predict how things may end up developing. So it makes more sense to just take this one step at a time. And we're just going to focus on the next move. So what I presume is going to happen is when you look at the monthly time frame, SPY is going to most likely attempts to continue higher from here. If you look at the monthly, we look bullish. So to start off September, I do think we're going to start off on a strong end. We have a very bullish looking candlestick on the monthly. So I think we'll be testing 565. If that breaks, we're going to be going all the way up towards that 568's targets, then eventually 570. And if that breaks, you guys know where I think we could be heading, very close to 577. So I think we're going to continue higher for the first week of September, and then whether or not we get a big rejection depends on a lot of different factors. It depends on the news and data that comes out during those times. But it doesn't make sense to me to just be planning out, a crash or anything like that. Start shorting the market super hard in anticipation of a big crash. It does not make sense because for now, we remain bullish. We remain bullish as I speak. When you look at the weekly is also a very, very useful indicator for this. Volume hasn't been that great for the week, but one thing that's worth mentioning is that you guys could see our PPO crossovers tend to be very, very useful for identifying bullish trends. So the first thing you want to look at is like this right over here. Our PPO kind of showed this nice little pump that was coming right over here. So right here, we got this bullish cross in the PPO, and we were followed by at least 2 to 3 weeks of upside. And then this bullish cross in the PPO right here said the same thing. We saw another 2 to 3 weeks of upside, or at least an uptrend that continued right there. And then this phase right here showed a very, very bullish cross, which led to this big rally. And then during periods of consolidation, the market was already elevated, right? During the next rally that happened, approaching, these highs, this bullish cross in the PPO happened like around here. So right here, this is where it started to happen right about here. So we had another 4 weeks of just continued upside before we got the big rug pull. So now, when we're in a state right over here, we're entering a phase where we're about to see a bullish cross in the PPO. That may suggest that this upside may last a little bit over a week. It should last at least a week. So I think by next week, we should see a continuation higher. And we'll see how long it lasts. We may consolidate up here, and then we'll see if we get some kind of turn later on going into like October. We'll see if this lasts like another week or two. And then if going into October, things kind of turn south, because that is what tends to happen historically. But whether or not that happens depends on a lot of different factors. Do we see a big decline in October to start filling our gaps before we try to bounce for the end of the year after the election or not? Honestly, guys, I just don't really want to make that call yet. I don't think we're in October yet, and I don't think it makes sense to just make that call. So for now, we're just bullish. We're just straight up bullish for now. We're looking very good when it comes to our fib extensions. We look very, very good when it comes to our trend. And so far, the bigger timeframes confirm that we're going to likely see a continuation going into next week to new all-time highs. So that's what I'm seeing for SPY. Now for the QQQ, it's a different story. When you look at the weekly on the QQQ, this looks pretty decent, but not as strong as SPY. I do want to note that we look nice on like the daily and the 4 hour. So it makes me suspect I think we're going to get a counter trend rally. I think that right over here, we're seeing the trend shifting. It's taking a little bit longer to really show on the daily, but the 4 hours are already showing this. And the reason for that is because tech has been a little bit weaker. Tech is not leading the market up the way it typically does, but it doesn't matter because I do still see tech trying to rebound. So I presume, just like what the 4 hours showing us, there's going to be another rally coming to the QQQ so long as we don't lose support into the 480s. Now, will the QQQ break the highs? I don't know about that, guys. I don't know if the QQQ is going to break all-time highs or even gets to these highs. I don't know about that, but for now, I'm just going to focus on at least 480 and 482. And I think we're going to be pushing to that going into early next week. We could try to break past that and get to these new highs, try to break 485, but this is one of those moments where you just have to wait and see. The weekly isn't that great on the QQQ. It's trying to turn a little bit. I see potential for this to form an inverse head and shoulders and making attempts to recover. I do see potential in that. And then the monthly also looks a little bit more bullish. I see potential in the monthly to push us into the 480s. So I think the QQQ is going to be going to at least 480 next week, early next week, if not 483. But I'm not sure if we're going to break past 485. We'll have to wait on that. But for now, I do see us pumping at least 5 or 6 points from here and maybe even higher. So we'll see how things go. That's going to be another very, very big factor. For Tesla, it looks pretty nice right now. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. The monthly looks decent. We're about to get a bullish cross in the PPO, but we have to get a good month. And then the weekly looks decent. We're getting a nice little reversal right here. I do still see this inverse head and shoulders like structure as long as we continue to this rally to the upside. I see potential in this. And then on the smaller time frames, like the daily, we look pretty good on the daily. The daily looks nice to me because we held our 200 EMA. So with the inverse head and shoulders, the big gap to fill above, the fact we're holding our 200 EMA and trying to break past 213 at our 20 EMA resistance, I'm favoring that this is going to try to bounce. If you look at the MACD right here, we're turning bullish here. So I think there's going to be a nice push coming all the way up towards that 220 area. I do see that coming for Tesla quite easily. And then eventually we could push even higher than that. But it looks more bullish to me, technically speaking. I think we're going to 220. Inverse head and shoulders looks quite good. So that's what I'm seeing for now. So we're just going to focus on this one step at a time. Now, just know that Tesla also has the robotaxi events coming out. That's going to be coming out in October. I believe that could be another catalyst as we get closer to that. We might see some interesting price action. But for now, I'm not really too worried about that. I'm just going to focus on like the shorter term. So for now, going into next week, we look bullish on the weekly charts and the monthly charts. And I think we're going to see a continuation higher for all-time highs for SPY and ES. Another thing that's worth noting is that ES is nowhere near its all-time high right now. So when you look at, let me just pull up ES real quick. ES is trying to push past resistance, but notice that we have a bullish structure and we haven't even gone to our all-time high. So with ES having more potential to go higher, this will help drag SPY to new highs, forming a nice divergence. But this just goes to show that there is more room for SPY to push. So is there room for ES and even like SPX, which is not at all-time highs yet. So I think market looks good. We are favoring upside for next week. The monthly and weekly charts are showing that, and we're looking pretty decent overall. So that's what I'm kind of viewing for the time being. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of conclude the video from here. I might make another one for tomorrow. Just enjoy your guys' weekend. I want to make the videos very simple and chill for now, and I will have a much more in-depth video coming out for Monday. Don't forget, Monday's Labor Day. The stock market is going to be closed in the US, so we'll see how things go. I just want to thank you all so much for your attention. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next one. Thank you, and peace out.